Hello friends, and welcome back. In today's Postcards from the Homestead video podcast, I will be talking about a whole bunch of knitting and crochet projects. I'll be talking about some books I've been reading. I have some new acquisitions of oracle cards that I want to share with you. And we'll just see what other kind of chit-chat and shenanigans of the mind we get up to today. If you are new, hello. My name is Amy, otherwise known as Amethyst Moon. And on this channel, I share as if I've welcomed you into my home and we're just hanging out. So this week, I'm doing things a little bit differently. Normally I have my notebook and I know what I want to talk about, but today we're just going to talk. I have some things I want to show you and we'll see what kind of chatter I get up to. I also apologize for the lighting on this video. Usually I film at night after my kids go to bed, so I'm sorry if you hear them, but it's the middle of the afternoon. It is a gloomy, rainy day right now. I feel like it's raining almost everywhere, but it's okay. We need the rain. The ground here is super dry. Even though it's been raining for days, it is still super dry. So we need the rain, and I'm excited for the rain, but I'm also excited for the sun, which is supposed to show itself tomorrow. It hasn't showed itself in about a week. So if the lighting shifts and changes, it's because it's the sun and not an artificial light. Actually, you can see my ring light just behind me because that's literally how lazy I'm feeling today. It's right there, and I usually just put it behind where you are seated. But anyways, I feel like this is going to be a chatty video already. Today we are going to start with an oracle card pull. Today I am using the H-egewitch Botanicals deck. I will be talking more about this deck later as well. But if you are new here, I like to pull an oracle card. I do this both in my daily life. I have a whole other channel devoted to spirituality and oracle readings, tarot readings, witchy kind of life. But I feel like the oracle is a wonderful way to draw attention to aspects of ourselves and our lives that we've been ignoring. And I find that they are a wonderful jumping off point for conversation. I don't know why I said that so weird, but yes, a wonderful jumping off point for conversation, conversations with others, conversations with yourself, conversations with your shadow self especially. I've been doing a lot of shadow work recently. I always want to dive deeper, but I've just been skimming the surface recently, and I really enjoy doing shadow work. I don't find it tedious or negative in any way. I find it quite enjoyable. I mean, it can be painful in the moment, but I find it quite enjoyable to become an observer of myself and just look at myself with fresh eyes. So we have a card, but my battery's flashing at me, so I'll be right back. Thank you for being patient with me. I know it was all of 2 seconds in video time. It took a little bit longer for me, but not that long. It's funny that we're talking about shadow work, and one aspect that I've really been working on recently is just being more mindful in the moment and catching myself when I'm kind of distracting myself from the situation, and why am I distracting myself from the situation. So it's interesting that just sitting down to film, I don't have a plan. I originally didn't have a memory card in my camera when I sat down, and then I needed to change the battery, all within about 5 minutes of starting the video. And it's like, okay, you need to slow down. You need to be more aware, more mindful in the moment. You can't just go all willy-nilly, right? But anyways, interesting card today. We have the Ghost Pipe, which is the Monotropa uniflora, and it symbolizes mystery. And I feel like this card is very, very perfect for today because, I mean, like I was just saying, like I sat down, no plan. It was just like, I want to film, so let's film. So this whole concept of whatever this podcast is going to be today is a mystery to me. You'll probably have a general sense because by the time this goes up, I will have a title and I will have a description box and all of that filled out. But right now, we're seeing what happens. We're going with the flow. We're allowing the mystery of the future to encompass the present moment and see where it takes us. And so often I am one who likes to be scheduled and to plan. Not so much scheduled, I'm a planner. I like to know, okay, this is what we're doing, A, B, C. I don't necessarily need to know when we're going to start A, but I know that we're doing A today, so we're going to start there. I like to have like an order of operations. I like to know what I can kind of expect. I like to have a general plan. I'm not one to sit down and schedule my day. Like I don't wake up at a certain time. I don't eat breakfast by a certain time. In terms of that kind of scheduling, I do live my life very intuitively. But there's always a healthy balance, right? Between going with the flow and living in the moment and also being very scheduled and I wanted to say predictable, but I guess that's not really the word. Organized. I feel like my method of organization is chaotic. I know exactly where everything is, but it might look like utter chaos to other people. So, but it's the mysteries of life that can bring us joy. It is those little moments that spark our interest, spark our curiosity, that are worth living, right? Totally kind of unrelated, but I just heard one of my kids moving around downstairs. And so I have 4 boys. The first child, when I was pregnant, we found out that he was a boy, or that his genitals indicated that he was a boy. And then my second pregnancy, we did the ultrasound again, and it said it was a girl. He is very much a boy. But it was interesting how we were very much planning for a girl. We don't set up nurseries or anything like that. I mean, our kids have all co-slept with us right from the beginning, and we had like a bassinet, which was just white, like it's like a 100-year-old bassinet that was in our family for a really long time. But it's just, we found out with the first, scheduled, organized, all prepared, and then we thought we had found out with the second, and that turned into this surprise, like, it's actually a boy. And then with our third and our fourth, we decided, what's the point of knowing? The mystery and the excitement of, in the moment, meeting this child. And I mean, ultimately, genitals do not suggest anything about what their likes or their interests or anything. Like, it doesn't say anything about who they are, except for maybe that they'll stand up to pee versus sit down, right? So the mysteries of life are so wonderful. But anyways, next topic, I should tell you what I am wearing, and this is a shawl that I made. It is made out of Loops and Threads Woollike, just black because that's what I like to wear. And it just has like a random eyelet pattern. There's no rhyme or reason. All I did was at the beginning of every row, I did a yarn over increase, and then in the center I have there's like a center column of yarn overs. Can you even see that? So there's yarn overs on either side of the center spine. And then I just alternated knit rows, purl rows, yarn over rows until I had something that I was happy with and pleased with. Did I do yarn overs at the beginning and end of every right side row? That might have been what I did. I don't even remember. I didn't take notes. It was very just intuitive. Again, it was a mystery. I had no clue what I was going to make while I was making it. We were on a 30-hour car trip while I was knitting this, so I just did what felt right, what felt natural. So I think it was knit 2, yarn over, knit in whatever pattern I wanted until the center, and then it was yarn over, 2 center stitches, and then yarn over, knit to the end, yarn over, knit 2. I'm pretty sure that's what the right side rows were, and then wrong sides were just purl or knit, depending on if I wanted a stockinette or a garter stitch panel in that little section. So that's what I'm wearing. And now let's move on to, let's go to works in progress before I show you my finished object for this week. So my first work in progress is one that you have seen before. It is my owl feathers in my owl bag. So it is, it's growing considerably, but is also still very small. I am almost done with this first section, with this first design. I have one more repeat to do, and then it switches charts to a different design. I'm very excited about that because I'm actually very bored with this. I'm finding it very tedious at this point just because it's been many rows of the same thing. So I am excited to move on to the next part of the chart. The next thing that I am working on is I'm doing some swatches with this yarn. I showed you this yarn in the last episode. It is the Loops and Threads Eco-Calm. It is the Loops and Threads Eco-Calm Stripes. I bought this to make myself a shawl for when I go on a trip. I wanted something to crochet on the airplane. And so I have started trying a few different patterns. I'm using a size 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. This does call for 5.5. So this was the first swatch that I started with. And while it's beautiful, there are alternating puff V and V stitches in this. And I found that the texture of this yarn just really did not allow for the definition of those puff V stitches to really show. Like there's, can you see it? There's one right there. I don't know if it'll focus. And it just got lost, and it was a lot of work for it to get lost. One thing I did discover with this, I planned on ripping it out, but this yarn does not frog easily at all. It actually is quite difficult to rip out. So I had to sacrifice this little swatch to the crochet gods. And then this is the next swatch that I am working on. So it's got like some double crochets, some V stitches, it's got some flower stitches, these like trellis stitches, and I don't know, again, it's not really showing off. I thought this, because it was more lacy, this would be a better pattern, but I don't know if you can see. It's not showing it off the way that I want it to. So I'm going to frog this as best I can and try something else. I almost wonder if it's a mistake to choose crochet for it. I mean, it is crocheting up beautifully, and I do like the drape that it has with the 6.5mm hook, but I'm wondering if, for what I envision in my head, if knitting would be better. The reason I was going with crochet is just because I find it easier to crochet on an airplane, but maybe I just need to get some needles out and do some swatches in knit. We'll see. It's a beautiful yarn. I really like how it's working up. I don't find it splitty at all. No, I shouldn't say that. It is slightly splitty, but not terribly. I find when I do split it, it's mostly my fault versus the yarn's fault. It's just I'm not paying attention. So, I also, one thing I noticed, like, it's called stripes, right? And normally, I forgot to grab this too. So like, this is a Caron Skinny Cakes. Like, this is a stripe. You see how long the color are on this. I caked this up because I wanted to see what it looked like. Let me grab, I am totally unprepared. So this is what it looks like, how it comes. And I caked it up because I wanted to get a better idea of the length of the color sections. But as you can see, like, they are not, like, I would not consider this to be a stripe. This is the smallest section of the shawl, and it's not working up straight, right? So, I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going to do with that yarn. I just want to figure out and kind of have a game plan. I want something, since, again, I'm going to be on an airplane, I don't have space to have like a pattern out and trying to figure it out. So I want to do something that has just a couple rows of repeat that I can memorize and just go with it. So I may try and think of something for knitting to, because I want to highlight the yarn. I don't want to take away from the yarn with an overly complicated stitch pattern, but I also want something that's going to drape nicely, lay nicely. So I don't want to just do like double crochets or like a granny stripe cardigan, or not cardigan, shawl. I don't know. I got to figure it out still. So again, any suggestions for that, let me know down in the comments below. So now showing you this, I kind of gave you a hint as to what my finished object is. And that is this cute, adorable little sweater jacket, which I made for my niece. Isn't that just so precious? I love it. I love the color palette on this. It's still girly, but it's not like overly girly. And I think it'll be perfect for the fall. It's got these 4 little wooden buttons that say handmade with love on them. This is what the back looks like. Very simple raglan design. This pattern, which I will have linked down below, was actually for worsted weight, and this is a size 3. A DK weight yarn. So I did have to modify it. This is approximately a size 2, and I made it a lot bigger in terms of stitch count than even the highest size in the pattern, which I think is only a 3/4. But I was inspired by the pattern, had to make my own size. So I think it turned out adorable, and I can't wait to see it on her. And I still have quite a bit. You can see how much I've used there. Still have quite a bit, probably still half of this cake left. I may make her a hat or something, or I might just put it in my stash, because I make hats for preemies and for micro preemies, so I can make a whole bunch of hats with that leftover, so I might just do that. We will see. So that is all the knitting I have to show you. I am still working on that black and grayscale pair of socks. I finished the one sock. I was like one row away last time. Finished the one sock. I haven't casted on the second sock yet, so I feel like there's nothing really to show you with that. So let's move on to some acquisitions that I got since my last filming. The first one that I got is, they're all Oracle decks, by the way. This one is the Spellcasting Oracle cards, and I got this as a Mother's Day present to myself from my boys. I picked it out and I bought it myself, but I'm giving it to myself as a Mother's Day gift. So that arrived, I literally bought it on Mother's Day. That arrived. I love these cards. They are so beautiful. Let me show you. I fell in love with the artwork. So the back of the cards looks like this, but then there's all sorts of beautiful artwork on these cards. I love the imagery. I love the use of color, of texture within the imagery. They're so beautiful. There's so many. You can see how nice and colorful they are. So that is the Spellcasting Oracle. And then I actually received 2 gifts just this past week. One of them is the Illustrated Herbiary Collectible Box Set, and the other is the H-egewitch Botanical Oracle. This is the one where our Oracle card from earlier came from. So both of these decks, they are both so beautiful, and the artwork is completely different on these decks. The H-egewitch Botanical, like you saw for the mystery, the ghost, what was that called? The ghost pipe. It's just white, very minimal, very clean looking. But these cards, the Illustrated Herbiary card, look at the use of color on these cards. It is just so beautiful. I am a sucker for artwork. I love cards that have pictures on them, but as a visual artist myself, good artwork on a card just captivates my soul. So, and look at the gilding on those cards. These cards had been on my wish list for quite a while. It also has a very lovely guidebook. These cards, both the Illustrated Herbiary and the H-egewitch Botanical, had been on my wish list for a while, and so when a beautiful soul, Kamisha, when she bought these for me, I was over the moon excited. And then so we also have the H-egewitch Botanical, which it's a very different yet very similar vibe. She's got her H-egewitch field guide, which I love this. It talks about the history of the plants that she's included. Some of them have recipes. It's got the oracle properties, and it's a beautiful guide. This is by Ciolo Thompson, and she is just an amazing artist. Actually, when I opened this, I just fell in love so instantly that I went on Amazon and I pre-ordered her next deck, which is coming out. Look at the rose hips. So beautiful. And one thing I like about these oracle cards is that they're actually tarot sized. So they're nice and small. But there are some beautiful illustrations on these cards as well. And it's interesting because I feel like both of these decks, despite how different they are, both really describe me in different ways. Well, all three of the decks, the Spellcasting Oracle and the Illustrated Herbiary, are both colorful, vibrant, but they're moody and they're dark. Like they have dark, muted jewel tones. They're colorful, but they're dark and mysterious, and like I love that aesthetic, as you could probably tell. But then the H-egewitch Field Guide is very minimal, which is little splashes of color, which is, if you've ever seen my journaling videos, like that's how I journal. I use a bullet journal, but it's all very minimal, just black and white, very simple, clean lines. And so I feel like it really kind of combines my soul into cards. Like it's got the artistic, colorful, creative side, but then also this very streamlined, simplistic, minimalistic kind of style, which is more, I guess, how I dress. Like I tend to dress more black, quite simple. I've been experimenting with layers more recently, but even, you know, the cards, like they're line drawings, but then I've got the layers of color. So it's interesting to see yourself portrayed through things that you purchase. And I even notice that with the yarns that I buy for myself. Like for myself, I tend to stick to black, muted tones, muted jewel tones, or like this, when I bought this, like this was stepping out of my comfort zone, which might also be why I'm having such a hard time finding a pattern that I want to use for it. But I actually think, I mean, I'm making it when I go away, and I said in the last one that I would give it to my mom, but I actually have a friend who I think would love it. I think that the colors would suit her really well. So, but again, I just need to find the right pattern. The colors aren't me, but I love the texture of the yarn. I love the way that the colors play together. So I just have to find that right pattern to give it my own flair. So again, it's the, going back to the oracle card that we pulled, it's the mystery in it. It's the adventure, the unknown, the allowing this creative force to come through. So, yeah. The next thing, and I think the last thing I want to talk about today. Wow, I just noticed it's only been about 30 minutes, which my kid just died in Fortnite, I think. It's only been about 30 minutes, which is about half the length of my usual podcast. But I wanted to talk about books. So in the last podcast, I was just starting to read The Midwife Murders by James Patterson, and that book, it was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. The ending was one that it was like, I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't see coming. Like it was like, parts of it were like, oh yeah, I knew that, but then other parts were like, I totally didn't get that aspect of it. So it was good. It was like kind of predictable, which had you going along like you're like, okay, am I right? I want to keep going. I need to find out if I'm right. And then you're right, but you're also wrong at the exact same time. So there was that mystery involved, but then also that sense of knowing that you had an inkling as to what was going on. So I thought it was really good. The pace of the story was really good. It kept me going. It kept me engaged. And I really enjoyed it. The next book that I read, which is totally different, is You Are Awesome. And this is totally different from the James Patterson book, but this one was in, our library has been closed, and when you go to pick up your holds, they have books, or they have bags in the windows, and they have like a printout of what kind of books are in the bag. And The Entangled Life, which is after this one, it's the next book I want to read, was in one of the bags. So I said, I want that bag as well. And one of the books in there was this. And I was just drawn to it. So I wanted to read it. And another book that this author, Neil Pasricha, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Neil. It's interesting because in this book he literally talks about his dad, who named him Neil because no one could pronounce his name. Where is it? His father's name is... I'm sorry, I'll find it in a moment. But his father's name is... Oh, here we go. Surinder Kumar. But then people kept calling him Surrender instead of Surinder. And I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. And then, so he said, my name's Kumar, which is his middle name. He's like, but you can call me Ken. So he didn't want his kids to have a name that was hard to spell or hard to pronounce, so he named them Nina and Neil. So I feel terrible if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Parisha? I'm sorry. I'm trying. But he has another book called The Happiness Equation, which I want to put on hold and read next. I really liked his writing style. He is the author of the blog 1000 Awesome Things, which then turned into the Book of Awesome, and then he also wrote this one, which is You Are Awesome. He does reference his blogs and his other book quite a bit, but not in a way that if you haven't read them, you're not going to understand, because I haven't read them. But I do want to go back and read The Happiness Equation, because I think it would be a good addition to this. This book was really good. It talks about the secrets to success and having a successful life. And I actually want to go back through this and take some notes. I don't know if I'm going to read it again or if I'm just going to skim through it. It is broken down into like the different secrets. There's 9 different ones, and then each of those is broken down into chapters. So it should be easy to pick out what I wanted to take notes on. I don't know, I'm the type of person that I'm like, ooh, I want to take notes on that. But then I don't want to stop reading to go get pen and paper and actually write it down. So, good book though. The next book that I am reading, I actually haven't started yet. It's called, actually I just went to the library yesterday to pick it up. It's called You Are a Goddess, Working with Sacred Feminine to Awaken, Heal, and Transform by Sophie Bashford. So this is the next book that I want to read. On the back it says, discover how the goddess is guiding your life. You Are a Goddess reminds us of the divine feminine in a lineage of fierce love that exists within every one of us and connects us to our own power and the truth of who we are. You know the goddess as a divine feminine figure of myth, art, and faith, but are you aware that, in truth, the goddess is a life force that lives in you? Did you know that your multifaceted experience of life as a woman are influenced by goddess consciousness? Do you sense that you have a hidden feminine energy that longs to be seen, accepted, valued, and used for healing purpose? In this highly engaging and stirring book, Leading Intuitive, Sophie Bashford takes you on a journey to meet 9 goddess archetypes, which will help you to understand the many ups and downs, emotions, and cycles of your life through the eyes of the goddess Nova. He's napping right behind the camera, and he just kicked the stool that's holding the camera. Discover how goddesses can ignite your spiritual growth and uncover your feminine healing gifts. Learn how to work with each goddess for self-healing, inner positive change, and empowerment, and get in touch with the divine feminine support and healing system, comprising 9 archetypes archetypes, including Kali, Mary Magdalene, Aphrodite, and Isis. So I'm excited to read that book. So if you have any other book recommendations for me, I mean, I have a whole pile over there because, again, like this book I heard of, I put on hold, but then when I was at the library, I'm like, ooh, I want that book bag. And the book bags don't come with just one book in them, they have multiple. And I've really been enjoying that. Our libraries actually open up, actually the day that this video is going up is when our libraries are opening. And I'm gonna kind of be sad because I enjoy the mystery of these grab bags that they've put together. For a while only curbside pickup was open. So I'm hoping that they will continue to offer them and continue to promote the diversity within the within their catalog of what they have. I mean, a lot of the books that I picked out, so we had The Entangled Life, which then also had You Are Awesome, and it had a few other books, and they were similar yet they were all different. So we'll see what happens there. I enjoy finding new books to read, and I'm also not afraid of trying a new book and, you know, giving it 50-60 pages, and if it doesn't work, then I just move on to the next one. And with that, I think I have shared everything I wanted to share in this episode. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.